If you're over 50 and you want to build some stronger legs, then did you know you can do it with just one carefully selected exercise? If you didn't, we're going to discuss exactly what that exercise is today, and I'm going to show you how to do it safely. If you don't know who I am, my name is Harlow, and I'm the Over-Fifties specialist physio here at HT Physio in Farnham. Today I'm going to be revealing one incredible exercise for over 50s to help you get stronger legs. Now I'm going to show you the exercise in just a moment, but before I do, I just need to let you know that this is not going to be suitable for everyone. Please do get checked out by your doctor before you give it a try, and if it causes you any extra pain, please just avoid it. Anyway, let's have a look at the exercise now. So the incredible exercise we're going to be talking about today to help to give you stronger legs is the goblet squat. And the goblet squat looks something like this. So to make it work, you're going to need a weight or a bag filled with something heavy. You're going to hold it nice and tight into your chest like this, keeping the whole dumbbell in contact with your body. You keep your hips nice and wide, feet nice and wide, and then sit back into a squat, keeping that back straight and then coming all the way back up like this. So that is the goblet squat. But there's a few reasons why I love this exercise so much and why I sometimes prefer it to the normal squat for people over 50. Now the normal squat, let's just quickly have a look. The back squat, it requires a barbell. You have to have it on your back like this, and then you go down in just the same way. And you might be thinking, well, that looks pretty much the same. But there are a few very important differences that means the goblet squat might just be superior for people over 50. The first reason I like the goblet squat is because it forces you into a great posture. Now, one of the problems with the back squat is people often round their back when they squat down with the bar on their back like this, and that can lead to stress on the lower back. Now, if you watch me with the goblet squat with this weight here, I'm holding it into my chest like this. I'm sitting back into it, but I can't round my spine because if I do, then I lose control of where this dumbbell is and it falls away from my body. So by keeping the form of the goblet squat good, I can make sure that the dumbbell doesn't drop away from me and that keeps my back straight. If I've got a nice straight spine, the stress on my spine is minimal, but I'm really working those leg muscles, which is why this is such a great exercise. It's so good for strength in your quads and in your glutes. Now the second reason I like the goblet squat is because it doesn't require quite so much ankle mobility as the normal squat. So when we've got a barbell and we have it on our back like this and we squat down, we need our knees to go over our toes because our center of gravity is slightly backwards, and that means that if we don't have knees over toes, then we're going to fall back like this, and most people lack this dorsiflexion type movement. And that can be a real problem for people when they squat. Now, if you contrast that with the goblet squat, the center of gravity of my body is slightly forward, which means that I don't need quite so much ankle mobility like this. So you can see that my knees are not quite so far over my toes. And that means that even if I've got less mobility, I can still do a great squat and it doesn't cause me so much problems if my ankles aren't moving. Now the next reason I love the goblet squat is because of how little shoulder mobility you need to do it. If you're using a dumbbell like this, all you need to do is have your arms by your sides to allow it to work. So we don't actually need to have any shoulder mobility at all to do a goblet squat. But if you contrast that with a normal squat, look how much shoulder mobility I need to get the bar on my back. You need loads of what we call lateral rotation, which is where the shoulder rotates backwards. And if we don't have that lateral rotation when we squat, we have to bring the bar up our neck, and then that brings us tipping forward more likely, which is bad form and puts you at risk of injury. And I would say at least 40 to 50% of over 50s struggle with lateral rotation in the extreme, which makes the back squat actually quite dangerous for many of those people. And the next thing I love about the goblet squat is how safe it is. Because if you get into trouble with the goblet squat, okay, let's say that you've picked up a heavy weight, you've come down like this and you feel you can't get back up again, all you need to do is help the dumbbell down to the floor and you're totally safe. Now contrast that with the back squat, which does carry more risks because you can't dismount as easily. So you've got this heavy bar on your back, you're going down into a squat, you get stuck, you can't get out of it, you haven't really got many options. You can try and chuck the bar back, but that's really hard to do. And you certainly don't want to bend forward and allow it to roll over your head because that is just screaming out for an injury. So the back squat is much more difficult to dismount from. So if you're worried about getting into danger, the goblet squat again is perfect. And then the final thing I like about the goblet squat is how easily it can be combined with a chair, which makes it super suitable for beginners. Now, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you'll know that the sit to stand is one of my favorite exercises for people over 50, just because it's so functional, it's so relevant, and it strengthens all the right areas. Now, the sit to stand and the goblet squat look really similar. So the goblet squat is basically just a progression of the sit to stand. And you can combine your weight with that sit to stand movement to make almost like a semi-goblet squat where you just have a little pause at the bottom and come back up again. Or you can use the chair as like a feedback mechanism just so you know that you've squatted down far enough. So when you get to here, that's roughly thighs parallel with the ground, and that's your trigger to come back up. You don't necessarily need to actually sit down. You can just touch your bottom on the chair. So that's how you can combine the goblet squat with a sit to stand. Let's have a look at a program. If you're just getting started, you want to include the goblet squat in your routine, but you're not that confident with it, this is what you need. So we're going to start off very basic and build up. So the first thing we're actually going to do is the straightforward sit to stand without a weight. But we're going to have our hands in the goblet position just to get the body used to it. So you want to be sat on the edge of a chair, feet flat on the floor like this, just sitting on your sitting bones, so perched on the edge. Hands up, we're going to bring our nose over our toes, come forward and up and stand, and then come back down very slowly and touch the bottom on the chair and sit for a moment. Then forward and up, nose over toes and stand, and then back down. Stick the bottom out, keep the back straight, practicing that same movement we were doing with the weight. And this is a lovely way to get you started and to start those muscles moving in that pattern. Now, if you can only do that, that's absolutely fine. I don't want you to feel like you have to do the goblet squat with the weight to make progress. Many of my patients just do the sit to stand. They make massive progress with that. It improves their mobility and independence. Really, it's all many people need. But if you want to make it a bit harder, we can move on a touch. So the next thing I would do is still no weight. Keep yourself perched, and we're going to go up and then back down. But this time we're just going to tap the bottom and then come straight back up again. So we're almost just using the chair now as a feedback mechanism to tell us we've gone far enough, and then we come back up. So this is certainly a progression because we're not stopping, or we're not taking the tension away at the bottom of the movement. So we're just going to touch and come back up. And again, we can do another set like that if you feel you're ready for that stage. Now, with any of these, I would recommend doing somewhere between 5 and 15 in a row. If you can do more than 15 without problems, you're going to move on to the next thing. And the next thing we're going to do is the sit to stand with the goblet weight. So you're going to choose a weight or take a bag, fill it with books, something heavy, and we're going to put it in the correct position from a sitting position. So sat on the edge of the chair, the dumbbell is tight into the chest like this. We're going to come forward and up just like we did, keeping that dumbbell in contact with the body. We're going to come down, keep the bottom out, just touch, and then back up again. And then we're going to come down, keep that back straight. You can see how my back stays straight throughout this whole movement. I'm not bending the spine, it's just the hips and the knees that are bending. And we're doing that whole goblet movement, just with that little bit of feedback, that little bit of safety at the bottom. And we want to get a working ache in our thighs and in our glutes. So at the end of the set, should feel like these are a bit tired, and maybe these as well. Now, if you've done all of that and you want the next stage, let's have a look at the full goblet squat without the chair. So to do the full goblet squat without the chair, we're going to safely bend down and pick up that dumbbell. We're going to bring it close into the chest. The hands are up like this. Hold it tight. And then we're going to sit back into the squat as if we're going to sit on the chair, but obviously the chair's not there. So we get to thighs parallel and then come back up again. So again, stick the bottom out, bend the knees, just to thighs parallel and back up. And again, stick the bottom out, bend the knees and come back up. Look how close to my body the weight stays throughout. It's not coming away from my body. We're not letting it hang out like that. I prefer to keep it in contact the whole time. That gives me a better control over the movement. And we're going again for a set of between 5 and 15 in a row. Once you've done that, have 1 to 2 minutes rest, repeat 3 times over. And if you can do that 3 to 4 times per week, so 3 to 4 days, you would do that whole routine, you're going to make massive progress with your leg strength, and it's a great exercise to build stronger legs in minimal time. So that's my one incredible exercise to help you build stronger legs if you're over the age of 50. I hope you found this video useful. If you have, then please do drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts, because I love to read them. And if you want to get more from me, I've got loads more exercises like the one in this video inside my book. It's called Thriving Beyond 50, and you can find it on Amazon using the link below. It even has a free downloadable guide inside, which will show you some of my favorite exercises for over 50s. So don't miss out on that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to speaking to you on the next video.